Good morning, everybody. It's Cowboy, and it is Friday the 17th of January, and we're looking right now at a beautiful trade here that I put on last night, and I told Algo Factory about it as I put it on. And I probably could have used a tighter stop, but I didn't. I thought perhaps there might be a scam wick down, as these things do happen. However, it does look like this trade is going to pay off. This is on the 5-minute chart, so this is more or less of a day trade. It's ended up being a swing trade. I thought it might clip out before I woke up, but it did not. And actually, I put it on pretty late, though. It was about 1 a.m. EST. So looks like it's going to go. You can see each of these green tabs is paying off. These are the algo pings right there. That's my algo that I built. And I have you could call it an improved version coming out soon. I've got my coder on it. But for the moment, just playing out beautifully. And it looks like we're probably going to get another green tab ping right here. Now, I know, or at least I had a pretty good idea this was going to happen. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at our chart yesterday. Good morning, good morning, good morning, MTNG. Thanks for the greeting. And this is a chart that I put out yesterday publicly. And of course, when the breakout first happened, I drew this larger yellow kind of path right here. Obviously, we could get rid of this, or I'll just, I don't want to erase history, but let's go ahead and change it to like a dotted line or something. And obviously, this was the main path I thought I would take, and it is taking more or less. Broke out, pull back for a pullback, coming back up. It did that, but it just did it a little more quickly, right? It didn't break, it didn't break out quite as far. It more or less did. I mean, this is pretty darn accurate. The pullback just happened sooner than I thought. So I'm just showing you how accurate my predictions are, right? The pullback was to here. It happened. It just happened sooner right there. And then, of course, now you have price heading up. Now, the white arrow that you see, right, this white line that's super, super accurate, I drew that during the Algo Factory show. Right. So it might have been during this live show, but I think it was actually in the private live lab, which is right after this. I said, okay, it didn't quite exactly follow the big yellow drawing that I drew, which is what I thought would happen. And I drew this, and it's hyper accurate. And anybody who's watching, paying attention, especially over at Algo Factory, where I do a lot more of these kinds of drawings, they're finding out that I'm extremely accurate. Not always right. I do make some incorrect forecasts because that's just how things go. No one ever does it always right. But I mean, that's right there drawn with a trade setup, right? So beautiful stuff. Doesn't get much more accurate than that. So let's go ahead. If you have any questions, put them up in the comments. If you have a chart you want to see, and it could be anything. It could be crypto. It could be, Forex, anything like that. Let's take a quick look at Solana doing beautifully. Solana pulling up to 220. I'm going to zoom out just a bit. A lot of gobbledygook on that chart. Remember, I didn't do any predictions past Wednesday this week because of the CPI, and the CPI was soft. So we see a big move up, and it looks like the prediction that I made back a couple of weeks ago is now starting to come true. Solana approaching a high here of 250. It's sitting at 220 right now, and I love my Solana. I love to see that. I know a lot of eyes are on Ripple. Ripple doing pretty well. It's pulled up. It's probably going to do a little bit of a pullback here. The last big move up on Ripple. If you let's zoom out to a higher time frame here, just to take a look at how Ripple does things. It's very hard to trade and predict Ripple. I mean, my algo on the high time frame does seem to be predicting it pretty well, but you can go back to a multi-year consolidation, and my algo, yeah, sure, it made some good short-term predictions, but now that it's trending, my algo said to go along right here, and lo and behold, there it is. So that's a beautiful thing. And the last time there was kind of a pullback in the algo, it took, let's measure how long that took. The pullback took about a month, actually 45 days, so a month and a half, just under that, about 40 days until it really started to go back up again. So if we do see that kind of a slow roll, or at least it's not very slow when it's rolling, but if we do see that kind of a pullback, you're looking at the next big move up happening in early March, right? But we are now, what in what seems to be the resumption of the bull market. Bitcoin hasn't quite broken out yet. So let's take a look back at Bitcoin and take a look at it from a bit of a macro standpoint. And we'll look on a different chart so I don't have as many markings. But we do obviously, you can see that I have my algo calling the long right here, right at this big dip, right? So that was a good time to go long. And if I were to just use some real basic Fibonacci metrics, and if I were to measure a very high time frame impulse here, not very high time frame, but just high time frame, and I were to apply a Fibonacci tool to that impulse, then we're looking at 120 being a target, basically really 119 and a half, and 130,000 being a target. Those are the two Fibonacci targets based on the impulse that occurred after the last breakout, after the breakout above 75,000. So those are those two targets. I would modify those knowing how Bitcoin behaves to probably 118 and 133. That's how I would modify those targets. So that's what we're looking at for that. And Solana and everything else will probably follow. Let's take a brief look at the indices with the short time that we do have left. We'll take a look at the SP 500. So we do have, okay, so remember, I didn't do a lot of prediction after Wednesday. So just a quick reminder, as I said in my Sunday video, anything after Wednesday doesn't matter on these drawings. And that's right here. Let's see, Wednesday, right there. That's where I pretty much said all bets are off, and I had arrows going in all these different directions. And I drew based on what at the time the algo said, but I told everybody, hey, ignore this. Don't trade based on it. You're not supposed to trade based on anything I do anyway. You're supposed to do your own research. But of course, I did have a contingency going up, and it looks like that was kind of a lucky call on my part. Like anything that happened after Wednesday, that's all just like, hey, cool, all right, right? So because I know I said that, I'll go ahead and take care of this right here. I probably never should have drawn past that anyway, but we'll go ahead and just do that right here. And then anything after this point is just, I don't want to say it's pure luck, but it's pretty much luck that I would call any of these moves. I just say, hey, whatever, right? So let's take a brief look now at what the algos are saying now that the CPI has come out, now that the money is starting to come off the sidelines. And just a brief reminder, we all know that the numbers coming from officialdom are more or less fudged. We're not told what the exact equation is for a lot of these things, but if we take a look at the high time frame, it's just bullish. It's just bullish, right? That's all it is on the high time frame. Why? Because we have the 401k money just continuously being pumped into these indices. And what we have here is what looks like the end of a dip, right? So if I were to translate this down to the daily chart, there's a decent chance that the bottom was right here and the plunge protection team has come through, and the bottom was on the SP 500 at about 5,800. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to go straight up, but the last time we saw a bottom, it basically did both times. It just kind of headed up back into that trajectory. Now, I did call over 6,000 by the end of last year, and that is exactly what happened. It went up to 6,100. I know a lot of people kind of scoffed when I said that. Well, guess who's laughing now? I'm not really laughing. I just trade. I really don't need your approval. But I think what we'll see now is, more of this, maybe a pullback to grab some liquidity, and then price kind of heads up. I don't think I'll leave this on here. I'll just show you all this right now. It'll be on record. Obviously it's on YouTube. Everybody can see it. Lisa, yeah, my drawings. That's right, Lisa. My drawings. I'm showing my drawings. So that's that. And I think the rest of these indices will more or less follow suit. You've got the Dow here, plunge protection team. Obviously, anything after Wednesday doesn't matter. Wednesday being right here, right? So we had basically nothing, Yeah, sure. I just kind of put some arrows on there for, hey, this might happen, that might happen. But anything after Wednesday, even if I did it right, I'm not going to take credit for it because Wednesday was such a wild card. So I do, again, think that we're going to see, in this case, a little bit, well, it could actually be a little bit stronger of a breakout because it pulled back so far compared to the SP 500. So you could see me take a brief look at the algos here. Yeah, you can see a pull up. You can just see price kind of start to head back towards the highs of 45K. So you might see something like this, and then maybe a little pullback and up, something like that, maybe. And then you've got the NASDAQ. Let me go back here. I don't want to keep this on because I'll be redoing my actual estimates on Sunday. So I'll let the rest of today play out before I leave these drawings on, and I'll do a more I don't know, a stronger look as of Sunday. And you got the NASDAQ again. I had it bouncing off this structure and bounce. It did, but whatever happens after Wednesday, it really doesn't matter. So even though I was right, I'm going to pull this arrow back and just kind of leave this here. These dotted arrows really don't matter. As far as the algos are concerned, the NASDAQ does seem like it needs a little bit more time, just a little bit, to pull back. But you know what? That plunge protection team, that could just push it up no matter what. So I would expect a grind upwards, just like everything else in the indices department, just kind of a grind upwards, something like that. But again, I'll take this off for now because I want to have those clear for the Sunday look. We are now at the end, a little past the end, actually. We went a little bit over time here on the public live lab. So go ahead and, well, if you want to know, like, hey, what's going to happen with this stock or that crypto, come onto these shows and ask. You can put a comment in here and I will chart it for you. I do this every day. And then after we're done with this, we go over to the private live lab with Algo Factory members who they tune in over on Telegram. This continues over on Telegram. And therefore, they get all kinds of charts. People are asking what's going to happen with this crypto, with that stock, with, this Forex pair, whatever it is. And then we have the Guerilla, who he's been here every day this week, but he might not be here today. I don't know if he's coming or not, but he shows up and gives that geopolitical edge. And anybody who's followed him over the years knows that that guy really knows his stuff. And he gets word from on high too, from the stock market, the Wall Street guys, so on and so forth. So come on over, algofactory.tech. Learn to trade like a hedge fund pro. And never, ever forget.
Join us or die.